Welcome back to the Demon Slayer Gaming channel. We're going to be continuing our Final Fantasy XIV Dungeon Guide series today, and we're going to be taking a look at the first of the Alliance raids for Heaven's Ward, the Void Ark. Starting off for the trash pools in this one, you proceed on, you'll come across 3 Arc Anzu. These just need to be picked up and AoE down. They have a frontal cone so you can face them away from the group so that people don't have to move out of this, but they're real simple to just finish off. You'll proceed around the corner where you'll come across 3 Cloud Larkers. These again should just be picked up and AoE down. These ones have a mild tank buster along with a line AoE that can be pretty easy to sidestep out of. You'll then proceed into the tube to go to the next area where you'll face the final trash pool before the first boss. This one will have 2 Hybotus, and then halfway through the fight, a water sphere will drop down into the center of the room, and there will be 6 Hydro Sprites that will spawn from it. Just AoE all of them down really quick. Then you'll proceed on to the first boss. He does have a frontal line AoE called Hydro Cannon that he'll use on the tank, so you will want to make sure he's facing away from the rest of the group. He has a cone AoE behind himself that people will just need to move out of. When he targets a random person's location and casts Body Slam, he'll slam onto the circular AoE after he finishes the cast, so you'll just want to move out of this. When he casts Immersion, this will put several circular AoEs over random party members, that when the cast finishes, they will drop circles onto the ground. That will cause a damage over time if you stand inside of them, so just move out of them afterwards. When he spawns adds onto the platform, you'll just want to switch DPS to those and finish them off really quickly. Anytime someone has the green circular marker above their head, this means the boss will start to follow them and drop circular AoEs in its path. So you just want to move to the outside of the platform away from everyone else and continue moving so that the boss does not catch up to you. Once this phase is done by killing the adds, then he'll body slam back onto the platform and cast Electric Whirl. You'll want to get underneath the boss as soon as he finishes body slamming onto the platform to avoid this. When he becomes untargetable for a second time, then he'll push 2 of the groups away from him and pull one of them underneath him. The groups on the outside will need to kill the Hydrospheres. For each of them alive, it provides a defense buff for the Hydro Core that's in the middle. The one group in the center will need to focus down the Hydro Core, and the phase will end once the Hydro Core is. Cetus will again body slam back onto the platform and cast Electric Whirl one more time. And after a few tank buster line AoEs, he'll do another Electric Whirl, but that should be it for this fight. Then you'll proceed into the port ventilation. In this area, generally the groups will want to split up and go to where each of the moths are. You'll want to focus down any of the adds, making sure to focus on the plant-like ones first, the pagans not. If they are not killed fast enough, then they will explode, causing party-wide damage. After some of the adds are destroyed, then the Arc arc marbles will begin to spawn. Once all 3 arc marbles are dead, then you'll be able to proceed to the next area. So you're just going to be going between the 3 different areas, making sure to finish off the Pagan's knots whenever they spawn, and then killing whatever adds along with the marbles that spawn. It is a good idea to keep one person at the previous areas, even if you've already killed the marble near it, as it is possible for the Pagan's knots to still spawn near them. And if you take too long killing the other ones, then it could possibly explode. After all 3 marbles are dead, you'll just proceed out the door across the hall, and then over to the second boss. The second boss consists of 2 separate bosses, Erminsel and Sawtooth. Erminsel is going to be immobile in the center of the room and does no damage to anyone, so he doesn't need a tank on it. Sawtooth will need to be picked up and tanked. Once the fight begins, then Erminsel and Sawtooth will each receive either a physical ranged resistance or a magic resistance. So casters and ranged DPS are going to need to target whichever one doesn't have the resistance to their abilities. Sawtooth has a cone AoE behind himself that you'll just want to watch out for, and whenever people are targeted with the green circles, you'll want to move away from them as quick as possible. When the AoE hits, anyone who is caught in the green circles will be tethered together. Other party members will need to run through the tether to break it, otherwise those members will be stuck in place and cannot do anything. Sawtooth will then put his head into the ground, causing multiple plants to begin to erupt out of the ground. Anyone caught inside of these AoEs will be taken control of and start attacking their different party members, and then anyone that they attack will also get taken control of, so it kind of makes this never-ending cycle if it gets out of hand. Anytime the ads spawn onto the platform, you'll want to switch them and kill them quickly, and then once Sawtooth is almost dead, he'll link himself to Erminsel and begin casting Shockwave Stomp. This will do 30,000 damage, instantly killing anyone that is damaged by it. The way to avoid this is to get behind Erminsel so that there's a barrier between you and Salt. After this, more ads will spawn onto the platform that you'll just need to kill as quick as possible. Then Sawtooth will put his head into the ground again, causing the plants to jump from the ground, catching anyone in these AoEs at that time. Mucus Spray is a circular AoE around Sawtooth that has the same effect as the green AoE, so you'll need to break the tether of anyone who is caught in Mucus Spray. Sawtooth and Erminsel share a singular HP pool. And that should be it for the second boss. Proceeding into the next area, you'll see Diablos above you. You will then summon a coffin that a Blackguard will spawn in, along with 3 separate Hellhounds. The Hellhounds can just be picked up and AoE down. Once the Hellhounds are dead, then the Blackguard will become targetable. One of the tanks will need to pick him up. While killing the Blackguard, there will be multiple Sepulture Gargoyles that will spawn around the outside of the platform that will shoot line AoEs across the platform before going and targeting different party members. You'll want to just kill these as they appear on the platform. The Blackguard can also do a line AoE that you'll just want to sidestep out of. Once all the Gargoyles and the Blackguard are dead, then you'll be able to proceed to the next area. For the third boss, there will be a continuous bleeding effect on all party members that will get worse as the fight goes on. So healers will need to do continuous AoE healing during this fight. When the boss casts Corrosive Bile, he'll do a cone AoE in front of himself that will deal continuous damage and stacking poison. The poison can be S-unted off so that the damage over time goes away, but you'll just want to move out of this as the tank, and anyone else will want to make sure they're not standing in front of the boss. At different points throughout the fight, the boss will spit out poison that will do a circular AoE on random party member. You'll want to try to stay away from the platforms so that this AoE will fall on the lower ground, and just make sure that you're not standing in it. When he does flailing tentacles, he'll raise all 4 of his tentacles into the air and face a random direction. You'll want to make sure you're not standing in line with any of the tentacles and just stand in between them to avoid the slam that they'll do. When the boss casts Idol of Impurity, this will spawn 4 different gyro towers around the platform that will each apply a stack of bleeding debuff to every party member while they are alive, so you'll want to kill them as quick as possible to lower the amount of damage that the entire party is taking. When the boss moves to the center of the platform and casts Void Pact, this will spawn a portal on each of the platforms that a ad will spawn in. You'll want to switch all DPS to the foo bars and kill them as quick as possible. Tanks, make sure to taunt them and bring them outside of any AoEs that are being thrown at them. When the boss casts Beckon, he'll target a random party member and begin casting a cone AoE that will draw in anyone inside of the cone AoE when it finishes, along with any of the foo bars. If any of the foo bars are drawn in, then the boss will devour them, increasing the damage that he'll do with his next ability. Once all the foo bars are dead, then the boss will cast Pestilence. You'll want to get on top of the platforms to reduce the amount of damage you take from this. If the boss consumed any of the ads during the previous phase, then Pestilence will almost one-shot people that are not on the platform. After this is done, the boss will cast Black Lung, which will add a second stack of the bleeding debuff to all party members, along with spawning multiple orbs around the platform. People will want to run into these orbs to cause a explosion that will do mild damage around them that can be easily healed through. If you do not, then they will explode, causing party-wide damage. Afterwards, you'll just follow the jump platforms up to the final boss. For the fight with Echidna, Sickle Strike is going to be the tank buster. Just want to use a cooldown to help reduce the damage of this sum. Nemesis Burst is a circular AoE around the boss that has a mild knockback effect. This has no cast time and has no prompt also, so you'll just need to heal through this. Sickle Slash will do a AoE on the boss's left and right side, so you'll either want to get in front or behind the boss to avoid this. When the boss jumps away from the platform, they'll either do multiple circular AoEs that you'll want to move out of, or they'll do a group up AoE that you'll want to group to split the damage for. When the boss separates into Dexter, Sinister, and Echidna, then you'll want to focus down Echidna first and making sure that you're separating all 3 of the ads. Otherwise, they will begin to get a damage up buff while they are together. Once all 3 are dead, then the boss will reform. Around this point in the fight, the boss will summon in 2 Blood Guards and begin to cast Abyssal Reaper. Abyssal Reaper will do a circular AoE around the boss, so you'll just want to move away to avoid this, and then the Blood Guards will need to be focused down. Petrification does exactly what the name says. You'll just want to look away before the cast finishes, otherwise you will lose control of your character. When Echidna jumps away for the second time, you'll either get the group up AoE or the different circular AoEs again, so just reposition accordingly. Depending on how much damage your group has, you may receive a second ad phase or you may skip it entirely. If you receive a second ad phase, then you'll just repeat just like the first one. So focus on Echidna first and make sure to separate all 3 of them. If Echidna casts Petrification, then you'll just look away from her like in the previous phase. After all 3 of them are dead, the boss will reform again, and you should be able to finish it off. And this should be it for the Void Art. I hope this helped everyone out. If it did, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.